All right, so the topic of our session today is from climate anxiety to well-being, creativity, resilience, and regeneration. And this overall objective ties into the objective of a European project called the Clarity Project, which you have a number of partners here on the call. So I'm part of an organization called One Resilient Earth, as well as Gwen, who's here too. And then we have representative of another organization here, Legacy 17, with Lawton, Marilyn, and Nicole, who are there. And so I'm giving the presentation in the name of the project, but they may also come in to answer a number of questions that are related to the project. So for the agenda, as I was saying, so we're going to have a short presentation of the Clarity Project. We are going to highlight opportunities for engagement and for you to access some of the resources that are being produced or have been produced under the project. We'll have question and answer session, and then the interactive exercise specifically focusing on the climate, emotion, and symbols, and next steps in closing. So first, we're going to give you a short presentation of this European project called Clarity, which is an abbreviation of From Climate Anxiety to Resilience, Creativity, Connection, and Regeneration. The project, in a nutshell, we're going to address how did the project emerge, what are the goals of Clarity, what has been done so far, and how you can engage in the future. I mentioned two of the Clarity partners already, so One Resilient Earth and Legacy 17. So we're based in Germany. Legacy 17 is based in Sweden, but we have other partners working together on this project. We've got Lund University in Sweden as well. We've got Climate Creativity in Norway, Real School Budapest in Hungary, and the Vision Works in Germany. We also have associated partners that are the Learning Planet Institute, so organizing this whole festival, and the Hanse University of Applied Sciences. And we want to highlight the Clarities and Erasmus Plus project, so funded by the European Union. So the basis from which the project emerged is just looking at a very specific fact that we have encountered as an organization that we've been faced with, is that children and youth are disproportionately affected by the impacts of climate change, with their emotional and mental well-being on the line at a critical time in their development. It means that not only will children and youth bear more of the impacts of climate change, or because of their age, they're more likely to suffer from the impacts of climate change, including directly in case of extreme events. But in addition to that, because basically they are still growing, their nervous system is still developing, their own emotional and mental well-being is going to be even more affected, again, in the case of an extreme event, but also by the very knowledge that the climate crisis is happening. And so it is very important that when we talk about climate change or when we teach about climate change, we are aware of the fact that children and youth are particularly sensitive or particularly vulnerable, and that that needs to be taken into account whenever we design climate change education. So the goal of the Clarity Project is to advance transformative climate resilience education, so a different type of climate change education, so as to help learners shift from a state of climate anxiety to resilience, creativity, connection, and regeneration. In order to achieve this ambitious goal, we are very much aware that we need a deep shift in climate education to build the new competencies that students need, both for inner change and collective action towards climate resilience and regeneration. And we're also very much aware that this shift starts with teachers and other non-formal educators, meaning we will not be able to teach those new competencies to students and both children and youth if the teachers themselves are not trained and they have not had the opportunity to acquire those new competencies and to develop this new understanding of the needs that come with a different type of education for children and youth, an education that takes their emotional and mental well-being into account, and that's really working on addressing the root causes of the climate crisis and of climate vulnerability. So in order to achieve this objective of building new competencies among young people by training teachers and educators for this purpose, we have already implemented a number of activities under this project, which is different steps that need to be put in place so that we're able to achieve this objective. So we have worked on a literature review focusing on transformative approaches to climate education, including existing frameworks, tools, and toolboxes. We've had a first consultation with transformative climate education and climate resilience experts, as well as teachers and other educators. We've drafted a policy brief that's titled From Climate Anxiety to Climate Resilience and Regeneration. It is currently available in multiple languages, and it's really meant to be communicated with policymakers and people who essentially make decisions about climate change education, including the ones who are working on the policies at the school level, for instance, so that they are on board with the deeper shift that we need in terms of climate education, and that they can support the teachers and educators in going in that direction. And we also have a clarity competence framework for transformative climate resilience education, which is more like the theoretical framework and the conceptual framework out of which we have defined the competencies that need to be built, and in relation to which we have developed a number of pedagogical tools to build those competencies. So we have already worked on the co-creation of a draft toolbox for teachers and other educators, and on the design of an online resource hub, which is still in the making, but the draft toolbox is there for now. And all of those activities have taken place through a process that engaged the different partners in the Clarity project. So those are images from the co-creation meeting that we had in Lund in Sweden, where we discussed the different tools that should be part of the toolbox, and how they were meeting the different competencies. And we also tested some of the tools together, including with knowing that all of the partners in Clarity are themselves teachers or climate educators in their own rights. And we also have a number of younger members of our teams who contributed directly to the co-creation process and to the selection of tools, and who could bring in a perspective that was closer to that of students in the process. So practically right now we have some draft learning material available, especially for the pilot group of teachers whom we're working with right now. So building upon the Clarity competence framework that you can see on the left in a very summarized form, we have developed a teacher's guide on transformative climate resilience education. We are currently giving or organizing a pilot cohort-based training for teachers and educators. We have between 20 and 30 teachers and educators who join our workshops. We have 5 online workshops scheduled. 2 have taken place already, and they will be ongoing until March 2025. And the purpose of those workshops is really to give a space for the teachers and educators to test, to better understand the framework in which the different tools have been developed, to understand the logic between the tools, how they help build different competencies, but also to try out the tools and ask all the questions that may come with the use of new pedagogical tools and the acquisition of new competencies. We also have an online learning and community platform to support the trainees in their learning processes. And we have developed around 20 pedagogical tools that have been adapted into different activities so as to meet the needs of different age groups, knowing that the Clarity project is focusing on children and youth, meaning young people between the age of 6 and 26 years old. So for each tool, we have different activities to be sure that we can respond to the needs of the different age groups in an age-appropriate way. So this is to give you a glimpse into the online platform and what it looks like at the moment. So this is where the pilot This is where we save all the resources of the learning resources for the pilot teacher training. So for each workshop, so this one was the first workshop on navigating climate emotions and climate trauma. We give access to tools, preliminary learning material, including excerpts from the teacher's guide, and we also have recordings, resources to dive deeper, resources for evaluation, knowing that the participants in this pilot cohort are also going to test some of the tools with their students, collect feedback, and collect data about the impact of the tools so that we can integrate those feedback and in the tools when we finalize them over the summer. And to give you an example of the different tools and activities that we're talking about, so this is in relation to the competence area that addresses opening up to diverse, climate resilient and regenerative futures. So we have 4 main tools. And on the first one, for instance, exploring futures through art, the different activities that we offer are solarpunk art explorations, an activity called the photograph of the future, or exploring parallel worlds. Under the tool called Growing Futures Literacy, we have an activity for younger students, which is about envisioning the most beautiful futures, and for older ones, which is about running a full-on futures literacy lab. So I will not go into all the details, but just to give you an idea of the type of topics that we're working on and the type of activities we're designing at the moment. This is also an example of like a solarpunk artwork that could be used for the activity about exploring solarpunk art. So we have a very strong focus on bringing art-based tools and practices among the different activities that we offer. And so that is just one example of an artwork that could be shown in a classroom when we talk about exploring solarpunk artworks, for instance. And then in terms of what lies ahead, we're basically halfway through the project right now. So we still have 1 year and 2-3 months to go. And so we're in the middle of this phase of piloting and finalizing the learning material for teachers and educators, and also piloting and finalizing the toolbox, which will then be available on the online resource hub around the summer or the fall. In the fall and winter of this year, we want to roll out the teachers and educators training. So now that we're doing the pilot, but then we're going to do 3 cohort-based training to reach more teachers and educators. We'll open up fully the online resource hub. We'll launch the online community platform to the whole world for teachers and educators who are actually taking part in the training, or who are also accessing our self-paced learning material that will be made available in addition to the tools. And we do have additional activities related to communication, outreach, and advocacy, including through social media, that is meant to help us disseminate our policy brief, communicate about the project, and we'll have in-person meetings with education stakeholders in Norway, Sweden, Germany, and Hungary. And in terms of opportunities for engagement for you, so there are a few things that you can do right now if you're interested to learn more about the Clarity Project and to contribute to this transnational dialogue that we have started. One thing you can do is, join our transnational education community, and so it's called Transforming Climate Education. So it's a specific online group that we have created, and it's meant to be an online learning and support community for teachers and educators. It is on the We Are One Region Earth community platform, and basically you can join as a member, and this is where you can share questions, ideas, articles, data, whatever you feel could be relevant to the group. And that's a way to start engaging in the transforming climate education work that we're doing. And we're also planning on having more regular teachers and educators online meeting. so that there will be also opportunities to meet online in meetings and discuss, in addition to just meeting virtually via chats on the platform. Then you're more than welcome to take part in our future training programs, and you can already express interest to join if you want to. So right after I'm presenting, I'll share in the chat a number of links so that you can already fill out a short form to express interest to join. And as I was saying briefly, there'll be 3 cohort-based teacher training sessions planned for the end of the year, early next year. One will be online in English, one will be in person in Norway, and the third one is still to be defined. So also depending on your on the levels of interest we receive, and they will announce what we're going to do with the third one in the course of this year. And in parallel, as I was saying, we'll also have an online self-paced. We'll also have online self-paced learning material for teachers and educators. It will be available after the summer because we're still finalizing it. But even if you cannot join the cohort-based teacher training for any reason, you'll still have access to some learning material for you as a teacher and educators, so that you are better equipped to mobilize and use the tools and implement the different activities with your students in your own context. And we would also love your help in disseminating our policy brief and helping us with advocacy. So the policy brief is available in multiple European languages. If you would like to help translate it in other languages, we're also happy for any additional support there. It is meant to be disseminated in all relevant fora, and your support is more than welcome, because we really need to reach as many relevant education stakeholders as possible. It was definitely developed more for a European context, but if there are any ideas in this policy brief that resonate and that could be of relevance to other contexts and help you or support you in some work that you're already doing in other geographies, so you feel free to use it and to communicate it. And we'll have those in-person meetings with education stakeholders in Sweden, Norway, Germany, and Hungary, where you would be more than welcome to join when those are scheduled, and that are also meant to help us disseminate more. But this dissemination will not happen unless it's a joint organized effort. So this is for the presentation for now. If you have any questions, please feel free to share those questions. I'll stop the recording, and